It is 2 minutes after 4 o'clock. You are tuned to the 4 p.m. 411 on WLCN 96.3 FM. I'm Lloyd Kirby, the marketing manager and your host for the next half hour. And I am joined by Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. We'll quash those rumors on the Facebook that you're changing your last name. So appreciate you being here. And how's your day going?
Thanks for having me. Day's
Sure.
going really well.
That's awesome.
We got some sun now, so that's good.
That we do. That we do. So, so the fair is the Logan County Fair. Does the city? I mean, I'm guessing just by the nature of the smallness of the town, there might be some resources maybe that the city maybe loans to the fair, or do you have any involvement in the fair other than a spectator? I guess is what I'm asking.
A lot of spectating, but if the fair needs anything, as with any organization holding an event in town, we try to cooperate with them and help them with their needs.
Sure. And that's how we do it. 217-648-5510, the number to call. If you have a question or a comment for our mayor here, we went down some things via email and conversation. So, well, we talked about some of these last time, so I guess we can kind of maybe hit on them again as sort of updates. We talked about some of the new businesses coming to town and the timelines in the time since our last show, which was the first Tuesday of July. I noticed the car wash is down on the northwest corner adjacent to the fairgrounds. So,
Yep, finally got that down.
So progress, is there any kind of timeline or what the next step will be and when that might happen?
All we're being told right now is that and I mean the Taco Bell that's supposed to go in that corner, and then Burger King is supposed to go across the street where the old CB shop was.
Oh, okay.
They're still scheduled to come in. It's likely going to be next year. They were recovering from COVID, so from what I'm told, they invested some time and money they had now to get the car wash down and get the lots ready, but they're still struggling to get equipment, just the basic things like stoves and refrigerators and all those things that people with home residents are trying to get to. So
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's not just a matter of snap your fingers and it's up. There's a whole, and with all the supply chain issues, I'm sure that doesn't help things at all either.
Yeah, costs are up still a little bit.
Let's see. Other things coming to town. We did not talk about this last time, but there have been some workers around town installing cables, fiber optic cables, I guess.
Yeah.
So I3 broadband coming to town. Can you tell us? And I am admittedly naive about it, but I know the city had some sort of an agreement with Comcast, at least for a while, as far as being a provider.
Right.
Now I3 is coming. Is the Comcast contract, is that running out? Now I3 is coming in, or what all's involved there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our Comcast franchise agreement is still in place. And the good thing about that franchise agreement was that it was a non-exclusive agreement, which means any other provider could come into town if they chose to. I know that we've got a lot of feedback. Every year I've been on the council about we need better internet. That's one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I3 Broadband is a company that's based out of Peoria.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to us about a year ago, and they had an interest. And we sat down and had a meeting with them. And then out of the blue, we got a message from them that said, hey, we've pushed Lincoln up on our schedule. We're ready to go now.
Okay.
So the city's involvement in that is really to issue them permits so that they can do the work they need to do. And then we're there to help guide along the way because they are working in the public right-of-way.
Okay.
But if you don't look on the GIS system, some people don't know where the right-of-way ends and their property begins.
Right.
So like last week, I had to go out. There were some houses on Pulaski. And at first glance, it looks like they're digging holes in people's front yards when in reality, it was the 18 to 24 inches of public right-of-way on their side of the sidewalk.
I see.
So, but I will say about I3 Broadband, regardless of whether you choose to go with them or not, that's a personal choice. But they do have a process that works very well. They come in, drill holes, they run the fiber through them and put the boxes in. And when they're gone out of your part of town, aside from that lid of that box, you don't even know they were there. They're that
wow.
good at putting your yard back to the condition it should have been.
Oh, very nice. So So what does the Comcast agreement, I mean, if it's a non-exclusive agreement, what was the point of the agreement, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
It was negotiated long before I came
Okay.
along, and I went through the last negotiation, and they didn't ask for that to be changed or modified.
Okay.
I think really what it boils down to is they feel that they have a superior service, and they don't need an exclusive contract to do
Okay.
it. And for the residents of Lincoln, it's a choice that they have. They're
Sure.
not locked into one, and on various different fronts, we have heard from our residents, and they want choice.
Mhm.
So in this particular case, they'll now have another internet option to choose from.
Right, and I know, I was looking at i3's website, I see they do streaming television as well, which I bring up because, looping back to Comcast, they also had the agreement with the city in terms of and for lack of a better term, a public access channel, as far as community events and things like that, although it wasn't true public access the way I
Right.
understand it. With Lincoln, and Lincoln College was the caretaker of that since, I believe,
It's been a while.
2016, maybe?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. So with Lincoln College now no longer in existence, what is the status of that public access channel as far as where is it, who's operating it, who's
Well,
in
that's a
control?
good question. Right now, the way it stands is, if you've ever watched our council meetings,
Mhm.
and they're on Monday and Tuesday nights, depending on the meeting,
Right.
at 7 o'clock, we have equipment up in the council chambers, and when we flip a switch, we take over control of that channel.
I see.
It's always been that way, and so it was kind of painless when the college shut down, and we talked with them, and they said, "Hey, can you just turn your equipment on, because there's no more programming, there's no
Right.
more calendars. If you go to that channel right now, you will see our red banner with the City of Lincoln logo on it, and that's it."
Okay.
We do have some plans to try to put a calendar up on there that could be some current events,
Mhm.
but really that's not something we want to invest a ton of time in.
Mhm.
We would like to really partner with someone else, such as yourselves or
Okay.
tourism, or somebody that has a functional calendar that's robust, that
Mhm.
maybe we can just put on that channel
Mhm.
through a laptop and just rotate the events.
Okay.
So that's where the public access stands right now. We kind of have control of it at the city,
Mhm.
but where it goes from here, to be determined.
All right. 217-648-5510, the number to call. We're talking with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch about a variety of topics. He is scheduled to be our guest the first Tuesday of each month, so we appreciate his time on that. And since we're talking about, I guess, utilities and things that people use, another topic that was on my list, garbage service. I know there's been a change in garbage service in terms of the ownership of the company that was providing service to Lincoln. And as with any transition, there are sometimes they go more smoothly, and sometimes there are bumps in the road.
Yeah.
Have you? I know there were issues. I was, and again, this is just from my vast research on Facebook. I know there were. I'd seen some comments about people being charged like a late fee for something, for a bill that they never got, which actually happened to me, as a matter of fact. And then I saw something about just people unable to get customer service, get responses, and things like that. I'm guessing you probably had a phone call or two about that.
We've had several. And I watch the Facebook feeds too.
Mhm.
I find that to be very useful. I don't always comment, but you can rest assured in certain groups I'm watching. I know that there's other aldermen that are watching those as well.
Mhm.
So the whole GFL thing, if I could summarize all of that mess, is that when Area Disposal owned that company,
Mhm.
they were a small family-owned company.
Right.
So we had a direct line to that group of individuals. We still have a direct line to them.
Mhm.
Some of them are with GFL, but they used to have the autonomy, or I guess decisions to make on their own. They didn't
Right.
have to go to a higher level at corporate.
Mhm.
Now that they're with GFL, there are things they can do, and there are things that they have to get permission to do.
Okay.
I will say that their systems, and I think I speak for a few of us up at City Hall and many residents, their systems could be better. For instance, there's a banner at the bottom of your bill. I can't remember the exact language of that banner, but it's very misleading. And they said they can't remove that. Their software doesn't allow them to remove it.
Okay.
The 1095 charge was a result of some new accounts, and then they thought that some people had delinquencies, so they charged them the 1095. And then we're like, you can't do that. That's not part of the contract. So they went to back it out, but they backed it out with some people, and some people they didn't. And then their following bill was reduced by 1095, even though they gave a credit, which confused it even more. And so, and then on top of that, they're a North American based company, but they also have purchased companies in Canada.
Okay.
And so their phone and their billing systems are ran out of Canada.
I see.
So there was a major outage up in Canada last month, and it basically prevented them from getting phone calls, and it prevented you from getting online and paying your bill. And when you wanted to dial in and talk to them about your bill, you couldn't. So then people did the next best thing they could do. They went to the local office, and there was lines of people, and their local office consists of one or two girls, and they just got bombarded. And real bad position. I think they're recovering a little bit from that, but we continue to work with them.
Okay, so we're going to take our first break here, 217-648-5510, if you have a question or a comment for the Mayor of Lincoln, Tracy Welch, and we will talk with him more about a variety of issues coming up after this break. And we are back with Mayor Tracy Welch. We've actually got a couple phone calls here, so if I can master the equipment, we will go ahead and try that. First caller, are you there? That is you. All right, thanks
Okay.
for the call.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you. I truly enjoy being Lincoln's mayor. It's an honor to me to do this. There is a wide variety of services out there from an economic development standpoint. Unfortunately, the city of Lincoln no longer has a Main Street Lincoln, and we do not have a Chamber of Commerce, but there is a organization called LEAD, and they do a very good job of filling that gap for us. and its executive director is Andrea Runge. And if you look her up online, she's just wonderful to speak with. We do have some economic development programs in the city of Lincoln, and they're really geared towards reviving some of the structures in our community and the facades of buildings. The county, I can't speak a whole lot about the county, but I do know that they have a regional planning commission, and the city of Lincoln has 2 seats on that commission. So
Okay.
we attend regularly for those, and we stay engaged in what's going on with the county.
Okay, very good. And speaking of Andrea Runge, she will be our guest on the 4 p.m. 411 on August 23rd. Now we should, I believe, have another caller here. Do you have a question for the mayor? Hello? Apparently they got tired of waiting. Yeah, they're not on hold anymore. So 217-648-5510, the number to call if you do have a question. We apologize if you were on the line and we lost you there, but feel free to call back. We've been sort of on the theme of utilities and things that the public uses. Oh, actually, we have another call, so let's see if we can do this without losing our caller. All right, caller, do you have a question for the mayor? Okay. Right. Now, when you say you contact them, you mean you've contacted the city or the
GFL.
service provider? Okay. No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did you have more? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for calling.
So GFL does provide service in rural areas, but they're very select, and we don't have any control over that because our franchise agreement it expires at the city limits.
Right.
The very unfortunate thing that is going on is that the bills of individuals are going up, and some rural areas are almost double what we have in Lincoln, which when we talk about that agreement, we try to come at it from an angle that we are saving the residents a lot of money by doing that. And I know there's a lot of mixed emotions and feelings about that particular service. But the recycling programs, I can't really speak for GFL. Just what I know is that it's a very expensive program to run, and we've been told over the past years that it's not a very lucrative market when it comes to recycling. And so when things don't become profitable, I think they tend to fall to the wayside, which, again, as you mentioned, is very unfortunate because we're trying to be very earth friendly. And I don't know what the answer is to get over that. Maybe now that GFL owns that, they have a more robust program that they can implement. But, when we talk to them, we can certainly remind them of that, because we know that there are people outside of the city limits of Lincoln that call Lincoln home.
Yeah, as a member of the Westville subdivision that sort of seceded from the union, I can agree with that. I do know that at least area disposal used to allow people who lived outside the city limits. They had a dumpster at their office out on Fifth Street Road where you could take recycling and you could put it in there. I don't know if GFL still offers that service or not.
I'm not sure either.
So future topic to research,
Yeah,
I
we can
guess.
find
So,
out.
all right, 217-648-5510, the number to call. We don't have any callers right now, so we were about to talk about electricity.
Sure.
All right, so
Another agreement that we have,
mhm.
and the intent is to help the residents of Lincoln. So this is what we call an aggregation program,
Okay.
and not getting too deep into the weeds, but the way that works is Ameren, they are the delivery mechanism for the electricity, and then there are suppliers, and the
Okay.
suppliers use Ameren's infrastructure to provide electricity.
Okay.
If you don't have a supplier, Ameren serves as a supplier also.
Mhm.
As it stands right now, I looked it up before I came, and I think their rates are at like 0.243 per kilowatt hour at this time.
Okay.
And so the benefit of aggregation is that we worked with a broker, and then the broker worked with many different markets. I want to say that number is like 150,
Oh, wow.
but the idea is that when you get more people in the pool, the rates go down.
Right.
So what they did was they have a very large pool, and they were able to buy enough supply, and they've got our rates down to 0.07859.
Oh, okay.
And the good thing about that is it is a fixed rate for 3 years.
Okay.
So no matter what happens over the next 3 years, that rate is the rate you'll get if you go with the city supplier. The city doesn't make any money off of that, so we don't necessarily care whether you go with that supplier or not. We just did the work so that we can provide that as an option.
Okay.
There are other plans out there. I know they they are selling their plans as well, and that's okay. I think it's a choice for people to make and whatever suits their needs.
Right. So, I mean, sort of the whole free enterprise thing and more competition, hopefully that drives the prices down.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part was recently that the new rates kicked in right about the time that we had some really hot weather. And so, for instance, my bill at my house was $188 the previous month, and combined with the rate increase, because even though we got a great rate now, it was like 0.04 before.
Oh, wow.
So it almost doubled. And between that and then a few hot days where our AC ran almost all day, my bill went up to $390.
Oh.
So, those of us at the city, we get hit with the same realities that everybody else does.
A little bit of an increase. So we need to take our second break here in the half hour, but we will be back and wrap things up with Mayor Tracy Welch. If you do have questions, we've still got a few minutes. 217-648-5510, the number to call. We will be back with you in just a minute. And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411. We've got just about 4 minutes left. 217-648-5510. If you have questions for the mayor of Lincoln, Mr. Tracy Welch. And if you do have questions, but maybe you're not by a phone or you just don't want to call and be on the radio, which some people, I understand they have that fear or phobia or whatever. They have another way they can get in contact with you coming up, I believe you were telling me about, on
Sure.
August 20th.
Yeah, so on August 20th, I've been meaning to do this for a while and just been very busy, but these are things I'm going to start doing regularly as well. Depends on the turnout, but we're going to do a coffee with the mayor. So our first one's going to be on August 20th at 9 a.m. at Guest House. So if you have some questions, I thought I would just everybody can come in, they can grab a free drink,
Mhm.
and then we can just go through questions. As long as people have questions, I'll stay. That's why we do it on a weekend. So,
Sure.
I'll make time for people.
Okay, very good. So that's August 20th, Saturday, coming up at Guest House in downtown Lincoln, starting at 9 a.m., you said?
9 a.m.
Okay, till
Well, it's scheduled till 10, but
Okay.
I'll stay as long as people are there
Okay.
asking questions.
All righty, very good. And one other topic we had discussed prior to airtime was something we talked about last time, the parks in Lincoln. And you had mentioned last time that the council was kind of taking an approach of maybe focusing on one park per year and then moving on to a different one the next year and so forth to try and do an overall upgrade in addition to maintaining the needed maintenance and so forth.
Yep.
One of those parks, I guess, they've got some plans on what we're going to do with that.
We do. Melrose Park is going to be getting an upgrade. It'll happen this year. So there's been a lot of people working hard on that. Alderman Zerkammer, Alderman Bateman, and our administrative assistant, Ashley Metelko, in conjunction with Mr. Landers and some others, they put together a really great plan for Melrose Park to make that accessible to
Okay.
the public in that area. The council was very gracious enough to take some of the American Rescue Plan money, or ARPA, if you've heard of ARPA,
Mhm.
and we're going to take roughly 240,000. We're going to put 60,000 into each of our parks. So next year we'll start on the other three parks, and just kind of a little sneak peek. I think one of those parks for sure is going to become a accessible park, handicap accessible.
Okay.
Those with disabilities. So we're really going to focus on that for the community as well.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah, the community's been telling us they want our parks to look nice and functional, and we're moving forward with that. So kudos to all those that are working on that.
And you said Melrose Park is the one being focused on. Which park is that?
Melrose Park is down on Adams Street,
Okay.
and if you know where the Erico gas station is
Mhm.
on Woodlawn,
Mhm.
just come off of Woodlawn, turn down that side
Oh,
road,
okay.
and Melrose is that first park you'll run into.
Okay. Very good. So, um, that's about it. Unless you got something else pressing you thought of since we last talked.
No, I enjoy these segments. I'm glad that you have me on. I think that people often feel that their elected officials are out of touch with them, and I assure you that those that are on the council at City Hall and myself, very open and accessible. If you want to talk to any of us, you can go out to the website. It's lincolnil.gov, and all of our phone numbers are on there. But you can find out what ward you're in, find out who your aldermen are, who your representatives are, and just call us with any issues, or just call us to talk about things that went really well. We love positive feedback too.
Sure. I'm sure you got quite a bit of that after the Third Fridays events.
Third Fridays were phenomenal this year. The Nashville Nights kind of set the new standard for us, and with the following one recently, I was unfortunately out of town for that one, but I heard it went very well as well.
Yeah, the Hula Night.
And
Or
yep,
the Luau Night, rather.
yeah, the Luau Night, and there's a number of new businesses that are opening up downtown. So as a result, I think some of those future Third Fridays will expand, and we heard some feedback that people want more Third Fridays, not just
Okay.
a few.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can expand those out and have 5 or 6. But I will say, they take volunteers to run them. They take a lot of manpower, and we're all gracious to do that. We love doing that. But if you would like to volunteer, we would love to have you become part of the committee or just help us.
Okay, very good. So thank you for your time, Mr. Welch, Mr. Mayor. We will be back next week on the 4 p.m. 411. Krista Miller and Amber Davis are scheduled to be with us from the Oasis Senior Center. And then a little bit further down the road on the 16th, Seth Goodman will be talking about Balloons Over 66. And Andrea Runge with the LEAP program will be here to talk about, they actually have an event, Reversing the Exodus, I think it's called.
I think it's at the Oasis
Is it? Yeah, I think you're right. I
Yeah,
think you're right.
on the
So,
29th.
yeah, she's coming in on the 23rd to talk about what she does and talk a little bit more about that event. So, thanks for your time this time, and we will be back next week with the 4 p.m. 411.